focus on yourself, on your faith, on your dreams, on your mind, on your health, yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Ask the Expert. I'm so excited to share our industry expert with you. And while usually Teresa Ream, my co-host, is here with me, today I'm going solo. Teresa's out of town. We didn't want to stand in the way of you getting to hear from our expert, so we're going to roll it without her. So, first of all, before I introduce our expert, I would like to thank our sponsor, the Professional Women's Network of Monterey, and you can find out more about them at www.pwnmonterey.org. Okay, now let's just jump in and let me tell you a little bit about our guest. So, as a financial advisor at Wealth Design Group, Sharda Ryan is motivated by helping women and their families develop and achieve financial goals that are unique in their financial picture. She specializes in individual retirement accounts and business retirement plans, life insurance, gifting or giving strategies, education funding, financial planning, Social Security income planning, and portfolio management. She has served in the financial industry for nearly 15 years, and as a single mother, her own experiences led her to a career in the financial services industry to help others achieve financial wellness and advise them on their holistic financial picture. Now, she currently lives in Salinas with her husband, Nate, and their dog, Roxy. And when she's not servicing her clients, she enjoys volunteering with the downtown Salinas Rotary Club, exploring the outdoors, and spending time with her family. So I love that. Sounds very balanced to me. So thank you, Sharda, for being here with me today.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
I'm really excited to have you too. You know, I think that what I liked best about reading about you was really that you do it holistically, right? And I really think that is important to have a holistic financial picture, really, rather than one where people really kind of get caught up in, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do, right? And then it's not well-rounded. So I think it is really important, probably now more than ever, for that to be true. So let's just jump right in. And so the first thing I want to know is, you know, people, if you ask somebody, it's kind of like realtors, mortgage people, everybody knows somebody who's in the financial industry. I actually think that as I've come to know you, really, that you're not like everybody else. So I'm going to hand the mic over to you, so to speak. And what would you say is the one thing that differentiates you from others in your industry?
Yeah, thanks, Patty. And thank you for recognizing that I am a little different. So I primarily focus on providing advice to single women. This is a single professional woman. This is a demographic that's typically overlooked by other advisors. I find that we have shared values, that I can be empathetic. That's what I do my best work. Also, typical advisors, they might have a minimum for working with them, and they more view clients as a number, where I look at the person and love to help that underserved market because I can empathize. So, as you know, women have a lot of special needs that where planning comes into place, like they live longer, make less money than men, spend more time out of the workforce due to either taking care of children or taking care of elderly parents. So these specific challenges, they put a big pressure on women for their retirement and estate planning goals. And that's where I love to come in and help them with that well-rounded, holistic advice.
I think that's really powerful and so important, because you're right. We live longer, and women are really more of the decision makers now than they've ever been, right? But yet they're not always equipped with the information that they need to step into that role, right? You know, some of them are forced into it, like you said, as single parents, maybe, having to step in and help their own parents and stuff. And so they don't always really know what they have to work with, right? So it's always so nice when you can find somebody who can help you with that. The other thing I really love about that is that even though you're obviously married now, that as a single mom, you had those experiences. And I think a lot of times when that happens, it does kind of help define or clarify where we want to serve, right? I mean, I was a single mom for a long time. And because of that, I have a special place in my heart for that as well, right? Single women really, they just really kind of speak to me. And I do a lot of special projects with them because I do feel like, it is also an underserved market too. So I'm totally with you on that. And I just really love that you are working with them too. So
Yeah,
what
thank
would
you.
you say? And I know this is always kind of a little bit harder, but people tell us the same things all the time, right? We hear from
Sure.
our clients and they'll say things to us and we're like, wow, like I don't see myself that way or whatever, those kind of things. Cause like, I know for me, when people would tell me, oh, Patty, you're such a visionary. I'm like, what? Like visionary was not a word I would have thought about myself, but I've heard it so many times. And I'm like, well, visionary sounds so big. Helping people to create a vision doesn't, right? So, you got to kind of step into it. So with that said, what would you say are 3 to 5 words that would best describe the value you bring to the marketplace?
I would say compassion, empathy, intelligence, fearless, and diligent. So I'm not afraid to ask the tough questions with women. I know many times there might be something that they're scared to share with me, right? Because maybe they feel ashamed of it, or maybe they think that I'll look down on them, where it's a very intimate relationship. So it's important to be able to ask those questions when they tell you something, when they say, yeah, well, I'm on food stamps, or I'm fighting for child support, those types of things. Though that's a place where I need to be present and empathetic and say, okay, this is what we're working with, and how do we move forward? How do we help you so that you can sleep at night, you can take care of your family, you can provide for yourself and your family in the future.
I think that's really true though, because I think that a lot of times what happens is people have this idea of what somebody in the financial industry does, right? Like if they don't have a $500,000, or if if they're not doing this or that, like really honestly, like they have to wait till they can get there. And I remember when I was single, I didn't really understand until I had a really good relationship with somebody who specialized in women. And I remember her telling me, Patty, even $100, 50, if that's all you can do, but something, right? And it's so empowering too, to feel like you're doing something, even if people take little baby steps, you're still going to move forward, right? It doesn't, you don't have to wait till you can take these giant leaps. And I think that having empathy, which is one of your words, is important. I also think that in the time that I have got to know you, that you're pretty innovative too about thinking up things, like, so you can kind of really help them to really think of ideas that maybe they hadn't thought of. You know what I mean? And I think that is really, really important. So what would you say, as an expert, is the best testimonial you've ever received from a client that like really was heartfelt to you? You're like, oh my gosh, what was that?
Yeah, many times I'll get started with someone and they'll take that deep breath, like, thank you so much. And it feels so good. But I think the most impactful moment when I helped someone was a divorced woman, and she had a couple of kids that were in private school. And I was going through my questions, asking the typical, what's your income? What are your expenses? And she had mentioned, and I discovered that her ex-husband provided child support and alimony. And I said, well, what happens if something happens to him? That income's gone. Does he have life insurance? And she said, you know what? That was part of the divorce settlement. He was supposed to have life insurance. He was also supposed to set up college funds for the children. She said, I don't know if he did. So she actually went back to court and got those things in place for herself and her family. And she said she had worked with a couple advisors before that, and she said no advisor had ever asked her that question, and that it was so impactful for her and for me. I get goosebumps now just thinking about it, that I'm able to help her. And she's so grateful to me every day. She's very sweet.
I think that's really important too, because one of the things that I notice is a lot of times when people will give you testimonials or they just give you compliments, they're not always written or video or on LinkedIn, but they'll share them, right? And all of a sudden, I feel like sometimes what'll happen is you'll start seeing a pattern. Like you'll start seeing that, wow, other people have said that about me too, right? Or you'll hear it several times and you're like, wow, I didn't realize that about myself. And then you think, wow, this is a service I do. I want to really kind of delve even a little deeper in this, right? And I think it makes us better at what we do all the time because we don't always realize it. So I always like to share value with our clients, right? And with our audience. And so, a lot of times when you're trying to, from a marketing point of view, when you're trying to let people know what you do and how you do it in a way that differentiates you, the best place to find those words is to go look at the testimonials that people wrote about you. If you're on a podcast and they leave comments, if they leave you LinkedIn recommendations, those are really good places to find words that you're like, oh, wow, this word keeps coming up over and over again and stuff there. So I love it when I get to ask people testimonials, because I really find that when I ask you that questions, we find out so much about how you serve, right? Because I really feel that there's the certain things that people do. Like, for example, if I was going to talk to a financial person, the first thing for me is I want a safe environment. I want to know that it's going to be confidential, that I can trust them, that we have a rapport, right? But I have to tell you, somebody that would ask me questions that nobody else had ever asked me, that would really make me feel good, right? That would really make me feel good. So I think that is really a great testimonial and a story. And thank you so much for sharing it with us. So what would you say? I always like to say that people want to know what to do, but lots of times people want to know what not to do too. You learn just as much from that. And I think that in your industry, there's a lot of myths that go on that people think that are just not true, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give you the opportunity right now to kind of bust some of those myths right now. What would you say, or one or two, whatever you want to share, what would you say are one of the two things that people say to you all the time that are just not true, but people think they are, and you have to kind of work at helping people to understand that it just isn't true. It's a myth. And there's a lot of them about every single industry, right, that goes on. But what are a couple myths that you would really like people to know are not true when you're actually looking to hire somebody in your industry?
Well, I would say that one of the myths is that people think they have to have, and I think you mentioned it before, that people think they have to have a certain amount of money. They have to have at least, $500,000 or $1 million before they can go and talk to a financial advisor. And while that maybe used to be the case, or some advisors do operate that way, a lot of advisors like myself have become more innovative and do what's called fee only, where you only pay the fee for the advice. You don't manage any of their assets. You don't do any commission type account. Many times I'll meet with people who maybe they have a concentrated stock position because they work at Amazon or they work at Google. Well, it wouldn't make sense tax-wise to just say, okay, let's sell all of that stock and allocate it into a portfolio, and then you can pay me through that. Many times they need much more comprehensive tax planning because of that stock, or estate planning. So that in that case, I can offer fee only. That means, here, I'll write you, a check annually, and we'll have this advisory relationship, and you can keep your Amazon stock, and we can, we can strategize for that in the future.
So that's really smart.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the myths, and the industry is definitely going towards more of that fee only process.
I think that's really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that you're a resource, right? I know that you're a resource. What would you say, would you share a favorite business tip or a resource? I want to make sure we're giving value to our audience. We'd love to give them value. So I know as part of, PWN, you have some, right? So it doesn't even have to be a tip about your industry, but what would you say would be a good business tip or resource that you'd like to share?
I think the best tip that I would share is if you're in any kind of industry where you serve others, you need to be having constant activity in a client acquisition mode, right? So I would say to just be open to all relationships. It could be, personally, it could be, standing in the grocery line. It could be online. Just be open, be engaged, make sure you're always out there trying to develop relationships. Like one example that I have is my husband and I, we like to hike in the, in the area. And I saw a lady with a camera and binoculars. And I was like, oh, are you watching birds today? And she said, yeah. And so we just started getting into this conversation. Turns out she's a widow. She's from Pacific Grove and she needs help with financial planning. So you just never know where you can find those new relationships. So even if it's on a Zoom call and maybe it's in a networking type environment, like with PWN, make sure you reach out to all of those people that were on that Zoom call afterwards on LinkedIn or email and say, hey, it was great to see you today. Let's have a, coffee, or let's have a quick 30-minute Zoom and learn more about each other.
I love that. There used to be this thing called, maybe there still is, where it was like the ABCs, always be closing. For me, that never worked. I actually like my ABCs are always be connecting.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's
right.
exactly
Always
the
be
same.
Connecting, right? Because I never really, I feel like sales is service. And if you always come from service, then it really, really works. So
Absolutely.
what do you love about your business right now? Like, what are you loving?
So I'm loving that I get to be a part of a new community. So like I said, my husband and I, we moved here about a year ago to the Monterey Bay area. And I just feel so re-energized by, joining the Rotary, joining PWN, learning more about the industries and cultures and nonprofits and organizations. I'm just feeling really energized and loving meeting new people and learning new things. And that's just one of the things that I strive is to always feel connected to my community, to know what's going on, whether it's politically or socially, to just be engaged in that way. So it's really fun just learning about the area and learning about the people.
I love that. It's one of the things I love about my business too. And that I live in Dallas, Texas, right? And I'm part of PWN. But I live in Texas and I just got back a few days ago from being in California. And my co-host, who isn't here with me today, Teresa, I've actually known her. She's a friend, colleague, client for over 2.5 years. And I just got to meet her in person. And Krista Beavers as well. I got to meet her.
Oh, yes, Krista.
Yes. And I got to spend time. We had lunch and stuff. And I love it because it was just like I saw them the day before, even though I'd never met them in person. It was like I had, because if you really build rapport with somebody, whether it's over Zoom, we live in a world like that now, right? Where, hey, it's all about the conversation you have, right? And you're connecting and having conversation. But I will tell you that after spending a week in the Monterey Bay, I will say that the community there is so engaging. And I had so much conversation with people. It is a very inviting, engaging community. And I really enjoyed that. So I can see how that really, kind of worked. So what's next for you? Did you have something that you're working on, or what's your vision for this year? Something that you would love to share?
Yeah. So my business partner and I, gentleman who lives in Sacramento, we are launching a new website and a new digital marketing program here in the next couple of weeks. I'm super excited about that because it's going to be integrated we're going through a program that's able to host the website and then also work on the digital marketing, a lot of like set and forget. So I'm excited to be more automated, really push out that content that's educational for women, and just, see where it leads, be engaging with them, and just embrace the new digital marketing environment that we're all a part of now, right?
Welcome to my world.
Exactly.
Welcome to my world. I love it. Oh, that's exciting. I can't wait. Which kind of leads me to my very next question, really, is how can the audience connect with you? So can you tell us what your website is? How can they get a hold of you? I'm sure your social media is on your website for them to do it. I was like, where's the one place for them to find you? But I always want to know, what's your website and what social media platform are you the most active on? So if they were going to find you there.
So our website is wealthdesigngroup.com. So easy to find. And I'm most active on LinkedIn right now. And I'm prepping my Facebook business page for the launch of our website and our new digital platform. But yeah, you can find me, Sharda Ryan, on LinkedIn, Sharda Ryan on Facebook as well.
That is the only one. Perfect. I love that. So, okay, so it is time for our lightning round questions, where I'm going to give you a few questions. We want you to just answer them really quick, 15 seconds, super easy, super fast. But I think these questions actually help our audience get to know you better. So nothing tough. So ready?
Ready.
What is the one device besides your cell you can't live without?
My laptop.
What's the favorite app on your cell phone?
I would say Facebook.
Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Night owl.
What's the one thing on your bucket list that you haven't accomplished yet?
Oh, I would say go to Bora Bora and stay in one of those little huts that like kind of hover on the ocean. Yeah, that's definitely on my bucket list. Not done yet.
Love that. What's your favorite way to unwind at the end of the day?
I love to interact with my dog. So take my dog for a walk, feed her dinner. Roxy, little Roxy, yep. And just interact with her. She's my stress release for sure.
Oh,
and it's nice because I work from home. And so whenever, if I'm a little stressed or a call or anything, I can just take out 2 minutes and, pet her and hug her.
Oh, love that. Last question. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Oh my goodness. Superpower. I guess. Oh, geez. No, that's a hard one.
Really?
Yeah. I guess it would be to eat whatever I want and not gain weight.
Oh my gosh. I'd buy that one any day of the week. I love that. Thank you so much, Sharda, for being here with me today. I really appreciate you being here.
It's been lovely.
Yes. So here's what I like to do. I like to do this thing right here where, we love to come up with the questions that we feel our audience needs to know, right? How you show up, who you are as a person, the value you bring to the marketplace, what differentiates you. But you know what? I always like to say that sometimes we have something going on and we didn't ask you the question. So I'm going to ask you, is there something you would like to share with the audience? I didn't ask you the question, but is there something that you would like to share with the audience?
Yes. So I am going to be a grandmother. My daughter is pregnant. She's going to be 30 July 12th, and she is due July 12th with a girl.
That's so exciting. I personally have 13 grandchildren, so I love. I have 6 daughters. So I have 6 daughters, 13 grandchildren. So I love it. Well, welcome to the Grandma Club.
I'm gonna have to go to you for all the advice because
I can
my first
totally
go
get
around.
it. This is why I like to work with women after having, 6 daughters and a family of 5 girls. Like I totally get the girl thing. I totally get the girl thing, right? So I love it.
Yeah, you do.
So thank you so much for joining us on Ask the Expert. To the audience, you're going to want to connect with her. Make sure you go to her website, find her on social media. Like, really, honestly, we're talking about finances, and in the entrepreneur business owner space, we always have questions and things we want to know in the financial stuff. So having somebody, an expert in the financial business, is really somebody that you really want to know. So I really would say, make sure you connect with her. Go check out our sponsors at pwnmonterey.org, and make sure you connect with Teresa and I. We would really love that too. We always love to continue the conversation. And to our audience, we really appreciate you joining us here on Ask the Expert. Feel free to reach out to Teresa or myself with any questions or suggestions for future episodes. If there's something that you want to know, we'll find that expert for you for sure. We love hearing from our listeners, and we would love to connect and continue the conversation. So see you all on the next episode of Ask the Expert. Thank you so much. Bye now.
Bye, everyone.
Gotta focus on yourself, on your faith, on your dreams, on your mind, on your health, yeah.